Are you a film fan who loves the ultimate home video experience? Look no further than The Disconnected. Your host, Ryan Verrill, is your go-to source for the latest and most accurate information on home video releases, exclusive interviews with industry insiders and filmmakers, and has established a thriving community where every film and physical media enthusiast feels welcome. From hidden gems to blockbuster hits, The Disconnected brings you insider knowledge and a welcoming space to share your love of cinema. Watch every Thursday night at 9:30 Eastern, 6:30 Pacific for the live announcements show and follow The Disconnected on social media to stay updated. Subscribe to The Disconnected on YouTube or on the podcast provider of your choice and dive into a world where every movie night is an adventure.
The audio commentary. It's a dying art form, but here at One Track Mind, I, your wonky yet affable host Ryan Luis Rodriguez, analyze film through the prism of these embryonic forms of podcasting, one audio commentary at a time. Masterpieces, crapster pieces, live action, animation, cult classics, films literally no one has ever heard of. No track is too small and no track is too big. Join me and my guests from the entertainment world as we keep these features alive every other Tuesday. Hey, who else is going to discuss Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey one week and Citizen Kane the next? Us, that's who. Sure, you have to put up with my voice, but there's a certain give and take in this industry. That's One Track Mind, part of the Someone's Favorite Productions family and available wherever you get your podcasts.
If you're looking for more horror outside of the mainstream, look no further than Unsung Horrors, a podcast about underseen horror movies. I'm Lance.
And I'm Erica. Every other week, we'll cover a horror movie with fewer than 1,000 views on Letterboxd. We'll even give you double feature recommendations to pair with the movies we discuss.
From gothic to shot on video, from slashers to comedies, from giallo to J-horror, we'll cover all the subgenres. So join us as we unearth these hidden gems of horror.
Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, all at Unsung Horrors, available wherever you listen to podcasts. And part of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
We're in Way Media.
Welcome to the Life and Times of Captain Barney Miller podcast. I'm your host, Mike White. Joining me, of course, is the rookie, Chris Stashew.
You know what they say? If there's one Nazi in a precinct and 4 people at the table with him, they're all Nazi.
On this episode, we are talking about 3 episodes of Barney Miller from the 7th season. We're just about halfway through the 7th season here. We're talking about The Psychic, which aired originally February 5th, 1981, Stormy Weather, which aired originally February 12th, 1981, and The Librarian, which aired February 19th, 1981. We almost have the full run of February here, and I'd say we've got a couple really strong episodes here. Chris, what did you think of The Psychic?
Nice to see Kenneth Tygar back.
Yes.
This time, again, playing a person who may have some ability that many would consider to be a thing that's not real. He was, before he could, at one point he was a werewolf, and then another point he could see ghosts, right? Or was he possessed by a demon?
Oh, he was possessed. Yeah, it was like exorcism type of thing.
Okay, and then now he's a psychic. This is a great episode. He's great. I think this is a fun episode. I also like the idea of this guy just being so angry about the English language being misused that he's willing to pull advertising. And that's like a big enough thing to book this guy. I found that beyond amusing. I mean, look, this is a fun and light episode of Barney Miller, because there will be an episode that we are talking about that is none of those things in a lot of ways. So this is a fun lead into that. And again, it's very low stakes, pretty fun. There's nothing, I think, overtly, I don't know. It's it reminds me of an episode that would not have been in season 7, given the way season 7 is kind of played out so far. Season 7's tone has been so weird and so kind of not inconsistent, but I guess I would say inconsistent, but not in a negative, but more in I can't really place what the tone is going to be episode to episode anymore. Which again, for Barney Miller is a strange thing to say, because this show tonally has kind of been the same almost through the first 6 seasons, aside from a very couple special episodes. But it is a fun episode.
Yeah. I was really happy with this one. And yeah, to see Ken Tiger back, to see Larry Hankin show up in here. I always liked Larry, and I call him Larry because I've interviewed him before and we've talked several times. And Larry, I don't know when he got his gray hair, but he looks so old in this episode. And this is like at the dawning of his career. Like, of course, he had been doing things before this, but it's like, my gosh, he's looked old for so many years now.
Professional old man Larry Hankin.
Oh, he is so good when it comes to being a criminal, a low life. And just because it gives those looks, man, he just exudes that kind of low lifeness to him. I really like that. And then, yeah, Ken Tiger, just really doing a great job with his whole psychic ability, especially when he's being booked and filling out the form basically for them, like giving them the answers before they even ask the questions. Good stuff.
As one might say, Larry Hankin just has that look. He's got that look. And he does. I mean, he really does. Like, he's one of those eminently recognizable character actors.
Oh, yeah.
Like, in a way that, I don't know, like, I think when I think of character actors, his name is at the top of the list. Like, genuinely, just his look, there are a few actors. I mean, even Hal Linden. Hal Linden is what at this point? In his 40s? Early 50s?
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't look his age either, to be fair. But yeah, Larry Hankin, just I every time I've seen him in anything, I think he always just been the same age. I can remember him, the first time I saw him, he plays the guy who ends up getting the company in Billy Madison from Darren McGavin. Because Adam Sandler's like, and I'm going to give the entire business to Carl. And Carl is played by Larry Hankin. And that's the thing I always remember him from. But yeah, he looked old then. And that was in 1995. He's still around. He's not only still around, he has, go count how many credits he has on IMDb.
Oh, gosh.
It's 202 if anyone is interested.
Yeah. Well, and his role in Barry is really good. He's only in there for a little bit, but he's fantastic. And then I should probably plug, he actually put out an autobiography, I think it was last year. So I've been meaning to read that and catch up with him because it's been a while since we've talked, Larry. So
he wants to talk, Larry.
Yes. We open up the episode with Harris now investing in commodities rather than stocks and bonds. And also we have a joke that takes 30 minutes, 23 minutes to pay off, which is Barney coming around with the talent show flyer and asking if any of the guys want to be part of the talent show. Unfortunately, Wojo isn't around, so that's our big punchline at the end is when he finds the flyer and says, wasn't anybody going to tell me? That was good.
Yeah. 30-minute joke is a new one for Barney Miller. We haven't had one of those, I don't think. Like a full episode, full length of the episode, and we finally get the joke at the end.
That was good. Yeah, though we do have a nice Goethe impersonation right at the beginning from Dietrich as well.
This guy and his Goethe. I reached out to you while I was watching the episode yesterday, and I was like, what is it with this guy and Goethe? That feels like something that Steve Landisberg was like, can I put this in? Can I just mention this again? Right? Like, that was from so long ago. What, like 2 seasons ago now, I think? Where they were talking about the Goethe Festival and Harris and him going on vacation at the same time. Like, what a weird callback. Because that is what it's calling back to. Cannot be calling back to anything else, I'm assuming. The only other time he's mentioned Goethe, right?
I thought he mentioned it one other time, but if you put a gun against my head, I would not be able to remember when that was.
I just remember the thing about the Goethe Festival. That's the big one, right? It's just such a specific thing to mention. Like, who thought this other than like Steve Landisberg? I don't know.
And yeah, as far as who would be angry enough to pull down a sign, I might not pull it down, but I'd probably deface it and like correct some of the stuff that was on the sign. Yeah, because that kind of stuff bothers me. But this whole like taking liberties with the crunchiest, I don't know if I'd be as bent out of shape as this guy, but I do love every time people talk with him, they will butcher the English language on purpose, especially Dietrich. I love that.
Yeah, I mean, these episodes I feel like are kind of a return to form with Dietrich. At least this one and the last one are a big return to form. And also, can I mention, Levitt is kind of fun in these episodes as well. He's showing up in a way that, again, like, we've really come around to Levitt in the last season or two, but this season I feel like they've integrated him up. They've gone out of their way to integrate Levitt into the stories a lot more, which, I mean, again, I do kind of appreciate, given that, yes, it's a little contrived that he keeps coming up there. And I mean, there's even a plot point in the next episode where he kind of oversteps it and he's like, no, I wasn't, but on the off chance. And it's like, dude, chill the fuck out.
Oh,
but at the same time, it is a bit of a contrivance, but I don't mind it because what he brings to everybody else is so different at this point. He's really found his footing in the ranks of the other, precinct members that he keeps coming up to. He has found a way to integrate himself in there that feels less like he's just that guy who keeps showing up and more they're expecting him to show up every day. And they don't mind it the way that they used to.
I really appreciate how Tiger's psychic character integrates with the other people in the office. This whole thing of like, oh, you're not going out to lunch to Barney, right? Because then Luger shows up. And when he's like, oh, don't go on that call to Harris because Harris is going to lose what was it? It's not that much money, like in nowadays dollars, like $2,000, I think he loses on commodities.
Yeah. The eggs, yes. Barney.
Oh, man. Somebody dropped his eggs.
Yeah, the commodities trading. I love Harris. He just seems like a man of the times, right? Like, look, it's the 80s, everybody, and he's buying commodity. What's next? Junk bonds? Like, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, that is what feels like the 80s now, is you can feel these things kind of in the episode. I mean, again, when we get to the third episode, it's going to be really apparent, but there are things that feel more 80s-ish than they did 70s back in the last two seasons. It's still not there yet, but it's becoming more of a show that is taking place clearly in the 80s. Because I don't think they would have been talking about commodities trading 3 seasons. They talked about like zinc, but that was like this season, right? Like that's just a couple episodes ago. Or if it wasn't this season, it was like right at the end of last season.
Yeah, I think it was season 6. Yeah, we're starting to run them together, which is odd because we're doing this at a not too crazy pace, just 3 episodes every month. So it shouldn't feel like these are running together, but they're starting to feel that way. And I'm just amazed that we're here almost midway through season 7, and I'm already regretting that season 8's going to be here and that this thing's going to be over before we know it. It's probably going to take another year of our lives to do this, but right now it just feels like, oh my God, we have climbed this hill. We are on the other side now. This is amazing. And I didn't think, however many years ago when we started this, that we would ever get to season 8 and much less season 7.
Don't forget that we started this show. By we, I mean you started this show as a Kolchak show that you were like, hey, anybody ever want to talk Kolchak? That was like almost a decade ago.
Wow.
That was, that was like 2015. We've already discussed, we're not going to say what it is though, what we might be doing after this. You've already floated that in another podcast that we were doing. I can't believe it, honestly, because it feels like just yesterday we were watching the first season with Amin Gwal shooting the guy and being so sad about it. Like we talked about that, 2 or 3 episodes ago. And I was like, man, that felt like just yesterday. That was before the pandemic happened.
Oh my God.
It's fucking, I believe I think we started this show like right in 2019, I want to say. Either 2019 or 2020. Yeah. Yeah. It's fucking nuts. You're right. We haven't been doing this at some like insane speed, but we're here now. It's pretty crazy.
Can you imagine? I mean, I lived through this, but I didn't let these guys into my living room as much as, say, my parents or other people's parents. But just this whole idea of having these guys here with you for 8 years. And I know like there's off weeks and everything, but this is also the golden age of reruns. So during the summer, you're probably watching these episodes a second time as they're going through them.
Right.
8 years you have these people here. I mean, it's going to be tough for me, when we're done with this to be like, oh, separating from these guys who have been like parts of our lives now for all this time. And, imagine what it was like for the people that were watching these first run back in the 70s and 80s, how that must have felt.
Well, and that's the crazy thing. I mean, we've seen people, this is an interesting case of a show because we have seen people on the show die, like literally in real life with Jack Sue, which changed. I do wonder what the show would have looked like if Jack Sue had been around the whole time, like what that show, what the comedy would have been. These episodes would have been very different because he might have gotten his own season, because we've had essentially some of these seasons of the show be a little bit more focused on a certain character, and we might have finally gotten that season. I don't know. It has been weird. With something like Kolchak, which we started with, like, okay, there were like 20 episodes, like nothing. We had to really go out of our way to make that show a show that wasn't just like 10 episodes and we're done, like we did with Naked Gun. Because we did the original show and we did the reboot, much to the ire of the fans. But yeah, this is the first time we've ever done anything like this, where this is like, these are people that we spent a lot of time with, a lot of time talking about. And just to give you an idea of when we started this show, we definitely started recording at the end of 2019 because the first episode was posted February 16th of 2020.
Wow.
Man, pre-pandemic. We've been doing the show
1 month before the pandemic.
We've been doing this show for 4 years. The second episode of our show dropped a week into the pandemic, March 19th, which is literally like, that's like the fucking surface of the moon to me at this point. Like that person, that world 4 years ago is like literally the surface of the moon. But like you said, there has been a constant of Barney Miller. And yeah, it is kind of bittersweet getting to this point. Like, I know, like you said, we still have some time, but there is a sense of like the show is winding down. Like it feels like it's winding down, doesn't it? Like, oh, the thing with Harris is starting to become a thing. So we know that that's like, you've kind of alluded to that being the end game a little bit of the show. And like, once that is a thing, now it's like, oh, we must be close to the end somehow, because again, you can, like you said, you can see it in the distance. Yeah, it's going to be hard because there is something to be said for these characters and I don't know, there's a level of like, I feel not like I'm part of it, but you kind of feel like it. And look, nobody else is talking about this show in 2024. So not saying I take ownership over it, but this Barney Miller is a show that will have a very special place in my heart forever, period. And it's for a lot of people my age, they don't know two shits about Barney Miller, let alone give a shit. And not that I'm saying show's not worth watching, but I don't blame them because it's from the 70s. Like, yeah. Like it's not something, unless you have parents that are my parents' age who would have seen the show or know someone that's your age that would have told them to watch. It's not like something that's ever present in anyone my age's daily life. So yeah, I kind of feel a weird kinship to this show because when I tell people I talk about Barney Miller, like, someone your age, like, and I'm sure the people who listen to this show think the same fucking thing sometimes, which I totally understand. But guess what? I really love this show. I really do. For all of the problems that this show has had, which has been minor compared to Kolchak, frankly, this show, I do have a small bit of like, I really enjoy the show. And this is a show that will have a very special place in my heart for a very long time.
Well, it's interesting too, because we've talked in the past about this whole, what we don't do today, which is bring back the same actors time and time again. Right. So now all of these character actors have also become these friends and these favorites. It's like all the times that Doris Roberts shows up, all the times that Kenneth Tigert shows up, and we get to see these people so many times, and we're just like, oh wow, he's back. This is fantastic. Right. It's like, it doesn't matter that he's not the same person, but it's fantastic. Oh my God. Tiger, when he goes nuts and he's just like, do your own work. And he's tuned into what Barney is feeling about Luger. That whole thing with Luger coming in and just like, oh yeah, I need you to help me out with this stuff, Bond. And how he's like rewriting all of these police blotter items to make the police sound so nice. And just like the guy who was taking all the graft and had all these complaints about him, and he's being drummed out of the force, and Luger's like, police officer retires.
He's a company man, that Luger. I love Luger. I'm glad he shows up in this episode. Only time in these 3 episodes we get Luger.
Yeah, I kind of miss him.
Yeah.
I kind of miss him.
But we get Fred Sadoff for like the 5th time in the show. I think he's going to show up one more time next season, but geez, 6 times. That's a lot. I mean, Kenneth Tigard. That's weird. Yeah, we've also seen a lot of repeat people this season. Like, and some of these people aren't coming back again, which also makes us kind of sad. These episodes at least are tonally consistent with what I expect from the show. This season has been kind of all over the place. But again, I understand Otto's feelings towards this season, but I kind of like it in a weird way. It's kind of just doing whatever. Like, I'm not saying I wouldn't have wanted another season of Frolicking and Follies and the old one too, but it's kind of interesting that they're doing a little bit more with it in a little bit more serious way. I mean, again, like this episode's the least serious of the 3.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, this is the one that feels the most like the previous seasons.
Yeah.
And I'd see a little bit with the next episode as well, that it has some of those things where it feels like it belonged with some of the earlier episodes as well. I really appreciate what they're doing in Stormy Weather.
Well, and that's the other thing I think about this episode and Stormy Weather, the next one. Stormy Weather has a couple beats that feel kind of serious, but for the most part, the one singular gag throughout the episode is really funny with Levitt knowing how to sign.
Yeah.
Because I guess, though it seemed like a joke, I'm assuming he was serious. Is his sister deaf?
Yeah, first time I've heard about this, but I was really glad when that happened.
I was like, but my deaf
Barney,
sister, and I was like,
I'm
what?
so sorry. Yeah. I'll let her know your condolences, sir.
Wait a second here. Since when does Levitt have a deaf... Okay, he has a deaf sister, sure. I mean, we know very little about any of the characters outside of the precinct. So, yeah, what a weird... Sure, why not?
Right. Well, and I'm just like, did Ron Carey know sign language? Did they just say like, oh, who around here knows sign language? Or like, just have that on his card or something? Like, did he actually know it? It feels real. This whole thing feels legit. And at least one of the actors for sure is deaf, which is pretty darn cool.
Yeah, I think this is a fun episode. Again, like you said, the idea of like, because I believe it's Phyllis French, right, who's deaf in real life.
Okay. So I know that Peter Wolf for sure is deaf.
Oh, well, then I guess they both are.
Yeah, and I don't know if the lawyer is as well, but yeah, I think I interviewed Peter Wolf years ago. He was the lead, and I want to say he was behind some of the production as well of the film. This is a real thing. Please don't laugh. Deafula. It is a deaf version of Dracula that was put out in the 1970s, and took a lot to find a copy of that, but it exists. It's a real thing, and it was pretty darn fun to see. And apparently the deaf people just ate it up because it was made exclusively for them, all signed, except for the guy who's mute, and he has cans over his hands, so he can't sign. It's fucking hilarious.
That's wild. I am so glad that, and again, like you did, obviously, we both looked ahead of time. Like, I'm glad that they cast deaf actors to play this.
Yes.
It's not stunt casting. I mean, that is a positive choice and a smart one. Because you could have had people this is an audio medium, so you can't see me, but just waving their fucking hands around like when people play video games in TV and movies. It's like, I play video games a lot. I know you don't know what you're doing, so stop holding the controller upside down and pressing the buttons the wrong way. And that's, I've got to assume, how people feel if they're watching something where people are meant to be deaf and are not actually deaf, and they don't know how to sign. I mean, a TV show like The Last of Us went out of their way to make sure that they cast a deaf actor for the deaf role from the video game. And again, it's applauded, but it's not that it shouldn't be applauded. That should be the case. And and again, it's kind of sad that deaf actors only get deaf roles, which is the big fucking problem. I think we would all agree. But at least if their roles are deaf, they're casting deaf actors. At least there's that. But I'm trying to remember the actress's name. She was in What the Bleep Do You Know? She's like the most famous deaf actor working.
Marlee Matlin?
Yes.
Matlin?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I would say she's the most high profile deaf actress working right now. But she's a one of a couple. And that's it's unfortunate, because is it kind of wonky the way they do this? Sort of, but it's funny at least, and it's fun, and they're not making fun of the people that are deaf. The people that are deaf are more than likely laughing about all these people while there's, I mean, that's kind of what you get from Levitt, is that, you know, he's translating, but also not necessarily like telling them everything that they're saying.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I really like this episode, and I really like Levitt being able to sign. I like that he's the one that is taking charge of all this stuff, that Barney's completely helpless. Like when the lawyer's there and Levitt is down getting fingerprints from the woman, that the lawyer's trying to talk to Barney, and Barney has no idea what's being said. I really like this. I think this is a great episode. I don't know how much I like some of the other stuff when it comes to like, you know, Wojo, and
it's why it's such a nothing burger. Like, why are we doing this in season 7? Wojo's not gonna die.
No.
This ain't even that kind of show. Like, this ain't even that. The only person that's died in the show, died for real.
Exactly. The thing that I did like about it was that the guy saves him, and this whole thing of like how nice he is. Robert Costanza, right, is the guy that is
Total Recalls. Robert Costanza.
Yeah. Recall. But he's so nice, and he does all this charity stuff. He's a big brother on the weekends, all this stuff. And every time he opens his mouth, it's more nice things that he's doing. He saves Wojo's life, but Wojo still has to book him. And the guy's just like, I'm a lousy criminal, which is true. He's the worst because he needs to be better. You know, he all he needs is the job that pays, I guess, because he shouldn't be ripping off people.
Well, and that's the funny thing, because similarly to last episode, in the last episode, we have people complaining about doing the right thing, and like doing the right thing gets you in trouble. And it's like, it's a guy complaining about language and another guy who's claiming to be a psychic. And then in this episode, you have someone doing the right thing and it still bites them in the ass, ostensibly.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, well, maybe he wasn't that about it.
It's true. Yeah. I couldn't let you drown.
Yeah. I couldn't let you die, bro. Like, I guess I should have. Like, I mean, that's the thing. Robert Costanzo just seems like too nice. He just has I mean, even in Total Recall, it's kind of hard to believe that he's turning on Schwartz. I mean, you got to know better than to turn on Schwarzenegger, but but he's just a great, great character act. He's the one that stands out of the people I've seen before.
Oh yeah. And I love the whole thing with Harris being sick and having to go out on that call. And that was really nice as well. Cause Harris could probably just have a little cold and he's going to complain more than anybody else in the world. So if he's really as sick as he pretends to be or says that he is, I mean, who knows how much he's also adding on to it. But yeah, I felt a little bad for him, but I appreciate what he does in this episode. And I also, talking about the deaf woman again, I love that she and Dietrich are going at it. That was pretty good.
Are there rules against these kinds of things?
Oh, I'm sure there is.
Okay, cool. I'm just making sure, because I would assume that there is. I mean, again, how much tail has Dietrich gotten as a police officer? Because he's a police officer, it's like one at least, possibly more, but several that he's attempted as well.
Oh, yeah.
And what
are you talking about, that nun?
Yeah, the nun. The nun that he takes back to his place and just like, they just fucked because like...
Yeah.
Power of the Lord moved them in mysterious ways.
Mm-hmm. And I did laugh out loud when he has to have his joke translated through Levitt and she doesn't laugh. And he's like, well, I thought it was funny.
Dietrich, I mean, again, like Dietrich is, I don't know, he's on point in these 3 episodes for sure. Again, I mean, Steve Landesberg, I feel like has been such a welcome presence since he was added to the show and just keeps delivering every opportunity. Really, like the highlight of the show, I did not know what to expect with this show when we started it, but I was not expecting to become such a huge fan of Steve Landesberg, who was only added to the show halfway through it on top of everything else.
Yeah, no, he's fantastic. And to your point, Ron Curie is firing on all cylinders now. Everything is working really well. And I'm caring so much about him. Like, to your point, that whole thing where he's trying to give Barney an update and Barney like jumps all over him. Like, how dare you ask at this time, blah, 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 blah. You know, and Levitt's like, I was just going to give you an update about something else. So I liked all that stuff. I like the interplay now between him and Barney, even though he's asking for the same thing that he's been asking for several seasons. It's now the joke rather than the annoyance, I suppose.
Well, and also, to be fair, at this point, it's like, why don't you go out on the limb for this fucking guy? Like, This dude is doing more than characters. I would say, me personally, and this might rankle some people that like this show, I would say he's more deserving of a desk in the precinct than Fish was.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Fish didn't even want to go on the calls. You know, he just was like going to the bathroom so many times a day.
Fish didn't enjoy dressing up in drag like Levitt did. Just saying.
Yeah. Yeah. No, Levitt made that dress work.
He worked it. He really worked it.
Especially when he was giving his big speech in the dress.
In the dress.
Oh,
yeah,
so
I'm with you in terms of like, yes, it is no longer an annoyance. It is the joke, but it's also a little bit of a contrivance now too. Because like one of them would have put in the good word for this guy unless they genuinely find this guy to be a fucking jabroni that they really don't want around. And if that's the case, cool, but he's not acting that way anymore, like at all. He's not portraying the character the way he was before. He's a lot more sympathetic than he was before.
It's funny. I rarely look on IMDb to see what the top rated episodes are of Barney Miller, but this one, Stormy Weather, is one of their top rated episodes. It's got the little yellow thing above it on the list of episodes. And I have to agree. I think this was really, really solid.
And what's funny is, to transition to the next episode is only 0.1 lower, 8.5 versus 8.6. So, and I would say that not only is Stormy Weather a good episode, I would say The Librarian is a great episode for a very different reason. For a very different reason. And honestly, for me, this feels like the first time that the show has successfully done on a very special episode of. Because the A plot is they misdirect you in a very interesting way, and then they show you the reality of the situation in an equally interesting way. And I don't know. I'm curious. What me asking you, what did you think of the life?
I think I like this one a lot as well, and I thought that they really went from laughter to seriousness in a great way. I didn't feel like it was too heavy-handed. I felt like they handled the situation very well. I mean, things started to get pretty tight towards the end of this one, but I thought that the pacing was really well. I think it also helped to have Titos Vandis back as the Romani guy. I thought that was really smart. And the guy who is playing Werner Zlinka, he's terrific. He really just seems like such a nice grandpa, and he's got all the gags and everything, the fake milk that's spilled, the phone in his pocket, the whole thing with the chattering teeth. And that moment when they touch, I can't remember who it is, if it's Harris or who it is that touches those chattering teeth and makes him stop.
Wojo.
That's when the episode gets serious. And I love that the chattering teeth were the symbol for that. That was so nice.
Well, and you know what? The show finally addresses why Wojciechowicz is Polish. Why do we have a Polish character in this show? And in a lot of ways, like, the only reason Wojciechowicz needed to be Polish was for this episode. Because that moment that he shares with Zachary Berger, the, again, alleged Nazi word. I mean, again, far as the episode is telling us, he probably was. But that moment, like, I almost cried at that moment when Wojciechowicz like gets down and he's like, fucking say something. And the guy's just like, what am I getting? Yeah. I was like, holy shit, this show is doing the thing that I wish it had done in that rape episode, which is you can still be funny, but there's got to be a point here. And that's the point. The point is like, look, there is nothing that anyone can do because it's not anything that anyone can do at this point, and doing the right thing sucks. And that's that in a lot of ways, like you could almost point Barney Miller in the direction of like having to be the bigger person or do the right thing is not the easy thing. So many times doing the right thing is the hard thing. The easy thing is not often the right thing. And that's what we see in this episode. It would have been easier for them to take that guy out back and beat the shit out of him, but there's no proof that he was a Nazi. They are going to do it the way they're supposed to because that's the way the system in our country works, thankfully. Thankfully, we don't live in a country where they just drag you out into the middle of the street. I mean, again, for good and for bad. But I like that this episode actually gets to the heart of that, which is shocking for an episode of Barney Miller, given it hasn't necessarily handled on a very special episode topics in a way that I think has aged well. Let's just put it that way.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting that they didn't have that as the name of the episode or make the name of the episode refer to that. Instead, it's The Librarian. And it was nice seeing Miriam Bird Nethery back again. I think this is her third time. She'll be back one more time, I believe. She's great. I really like her a lot. For whatever reason, I mixed her up with the lady that was Flo on Alice, but I guess it's just the red hair, maybe, but
Right.
she's fantastic, and she's got that real softness to her. So when she comes out with the zingers, it really works very well. Her whole thing of, keeping quiet, and she's this librarian. She pulls out a gun to make people shut up in the library, and this whole people only respect violence these days. So, I mean, it was a good, but it's really like the B or the C. I think even Harris's party takes up more time than she does. So I don't know if I would have necessarily named this episode after her, but I don't think I also would have called it Joke Man Nazi Guy or something like that.
The Nazi?
A Nazi.
That's, I mean, in a lot of ways, that could have been the name of the episode. And frankly, I think it should have been, if you want me to be honest with you. Again, look, I'm not saying that this isn't a thing that people talk about in 2024, but it's not. It's not a thing that we're necessarily conscious of. I know that, was it 2019? There was a documentary that came out on Netflix about the guy in Ohio, John Demonchuk, the guy from, I think, Poland, who was at the concentration camps, who may have been part of the firing squad, gassing squad, but again, did it unwillingly as much as anybody else who's worried they're going to get killed by the Nazis. So you just do what the Nazis say. How compliant or complicit are you? This doesn't seem to be getting that. This seems to be saying this guy was complicit, and we never understand why, and it doesn't matter why. But yeah, I honest to God feel like this episode should have been called The Nazi, because this is the time and this is the place to have this kind of episode and this discussion, the early 80s, when people are still cognizant of it, while it's still at the forefront of people's minds. I mean, they even say it in the episode. He was like, it was 40 years ago. Now it's even further. These people aren't alive at all. Any Nazi in hiding in this country is probably long dead by this point, if not close to their deathbed, because they would have to be what? And they're almost 90s at this point.
Yeah, it's the age of a lot of people in Congress.
But that's I mean, that's the thing. It's again, this episode is doing something I wasn't expecting it to do. I kind of wish the Librarian plot had been in its own episode, to be honest. It could have deserved to be in another episode and not in this, again, kind of serious thing. But to be fair, you got to have some lightness with the Nazi of it all.
Yeah, I think this would have been a perfect time for Al Pacino to show up, his Nazi hunter character from that very short-lived Amazon Prime show. That's as much as... Yes, there you go.
I watched the first season of that show. It was fine.
That's what I heard. I heard it was fine.
I love stuff about Operation Paperclip and how they brought the Nazis to this country and they were just, doing what everybody expects them to do, which is, just be scummy, our country being scummy. And our country is scummy for doing that. But at the same time, nobody talks about it now. So, which is unfortunate because, again, I think it's just a bad decision in a long line of bad decisions that this country makes with stuff like that. But at the same time, nobody's talking about it now. But it's nice to know that at the time, people were cognizant of it. People were talking about it. And it was a thing people were actually, again, worried about. I mean, you hear the character from the DOJ talk about it. He's like, we're getting calls all the fucking time. How do we sort through if your neighbor just happens to be German and you don't like that? What? That's not a Nazi. And that's the other side of this that people rarely talk about, which is what happens when people are just doing it all the time. I mean, I think about Zodiac when they're like, my neighbor's the Zodiac. Why? Well, I don't like my neighbor, so he must be the Zodiac. Okay.
Right.
Sure. We're being inundated with hundreds of calls because everybody's neighbor that they don't like is the Zodiac killer. And I'm sure in the 70s and 80s, the DOJ was being inundated with calls about people saying my next door neighbor who seems vaguely German may have been a Nazi. Sure.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember when Mother Night, Kurt Vonnegut's book, was written, but I mean, that was very set in that time period of, post-war Nazi hunter type stuff.
Right.
With the Howard W. Campbell character. I would venture a guess that people that saw the last Indiana Jones movie probably had no idea what was going on when it came to the Mads Mikkelsen character. Why is this Nazi over here helping out with the rocket program?
Right.
Well, yeah. Have you heard of Werner von Braun? Yeah.
Remember October Sky?
Right.
That guy he meets was a fucking Nazi.
I don't know if they talked about that in the Oscar-winning film Oppenheimer, but it feels like some of those guys on the Manhattan Project were probably involved with that as well.
if they made a movie that was honest about what happened, it wouldn't win Oscars. So that's how that works. You have to make it seem, it has to be pretty desensitized, even for a movie about the people who made the world's most deadly weapon of any kind, period. So yeah, it's a weird thing. It's a weird thing that we just don't talk about now. And again, to have this episode having a Romani character being the one who's pointing out that he's a Nazi is also interesting, because there are some like Romani jokes in here that are just kind of like odd. Like,
yeah, that whole like, you don't trust us, and the way that he's talking with Barney.
Well, I mean, to be fair, the term gypped does come from gypsy. So
exactly.
And I've heard people say, I mean, again, like, I'm not offended by it, but whenever I hear someone say it, I'm like, do you know what that means? Like,
oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
gosh, people used to say Jude instead of gypped. It's like, that's fucking crazy.
Oh,
man.
Great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Yeah, we sound like such a bunch of SJWs, huh, for giving a shit about the way people are treated. God, it's a hard life giving a shit. I will say, though, back to your point about the Tito Vandis character, what a understated performance compared to the last time on the show.
Oh, yeah. He can be real broad. I mean, I mostly know him from MASH, where he was just like, I am the Greek, just like so out there and everything. It's like, all right. But yeah, he's fantastic in this episode. And I have to say, the guy that from the DOJ, we just saw him recently, Alan Miller, he's great in this as well. And like, really, I mean, gosh, how many times have we had guys from the government come in and just say, well, there's nothing I can do? It feels like once every 5 episodes, we've got somebody from, another department or from the government coming in and just like, yeah. I mean, we just had Agent Orange, like 6 episodes ago or something. So it's like that whole thing where it's like, you got to do something. Well, there's nothing we can do.
I actually think Agent Orange and this episode would have been a nice 1-2 punch of the ways our government continues to commit stupid things. Yeah. Well, that's the question. I guess the question then becomes, if that guy was in fact a Nazi, why is he in the United States? How did he get to the United States, I guess?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's I don't know. It's an interesting premise. I mean, again, the fact that we do have a DOJ character come in and be part of it, I think helps. But at the same time, like, yeah, I don't think outside of something like that Hunters TV show, nobody's having this conversation in our day and age, which is a shame. But to be fair, like we mentioned, like, most of these people are dead now, so it's kind of a moot point, in all honesty. But we can get some gags from it here, and then a serious message at the end, which is like, again, it is not easy to do the right thing. To do the right thing is often very hard. Because, yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure Wojciechowicz would love 5 minutes in a cell with that guy. And he's like an old man, too. Like, but at the same time, like, if he's a Nazi, he's a Nazi. Like, that's the way it is.
I love that Harris is the one that takes the impetus to go and track down all this stuff and find out that there was a commandant at this camp with the same name. And I mean, that was great. Harris was fucking awesome in this episode.
Bob. I like how he says his name is Bob as he leads him out the door. Yeah. Yeah. I wish I had the complexion of Tito Vandis, though, so I could play both a Romani person, a Greek person, and then also someone who's Hispanic, because his character was Santos Escobar at one point.
That's right. Yeah.
He just looks vaguely ethnic. So many actors in the 70s and 80s that were like Italian or Greek were just, you can kind of, we talked about Anthony Quinn recently, like,
oh boy.
Right? Like, he is not Greek, I don't believe, but he played one.
Yeah. From what I understand, I think he might actually be Mexican. I'm not sure. I should look up. Yeah. I need to look up Tony Quinn and just his life story. A guy probably lived a lot.
Manuel Oaxaca.
Okay, there we go.
Born in Chihuahua, Mexico.
Okay.
Definitely not Zorba the Greek, as one might say.
Or an Italian strongman, which is how I know him best.
Yeah. But again, like, that's what's funny is I remember in Never Sleep Again, the documentary about Nightmare on Elm Street, one of the actors in the first movie, I think he was Hispanic, but he was billed as Italian. Or it was the other way around. It's the same thing. It's like, again, like, then it didn't matter. And also then the expectation was, you're just going to, if you don't look white, you're going to have a bunch of roles to play that are not white people or ethnic Westerner, and Tito Vondas, I mean, the thing I remember him from is he's at the beginning of Fletch Lives as the Greek guy in the Greek restaurant that they're at with Richard Belzer. So it's like, again, like playing a Greek guy, and he is Greek, so at least there's that. But yeah, he's showed up how many times? 4 times, I think. Is this his third time? This is his third time, and last time, I think, actually.
Okay. Well, round of applause for Tito's Vandus there.
Right?
Yeah, and it is weird that we end this episode on a joke, that we go back to the librarian character and her weird suitor guy who keeps books out late just so that he can get little notes from her. That
it's cute, Mike. Don't you get it?
It's cute, and like you said,
not creepy at all.
A little better in another episode, but this whole thing of when they turn and go, oh, I hear this guy's having a party, and then you got Harris with the hand up and the eye roll thing. At least Harris invited Dietrich. I know it was kind of under duress that Barney really wanted him to invite everybody in, not just Barney and Wojo. Though it was nice that he, deigned to invite those guys too, because they're definitely not the upscale people that are going to be at this party.
Ed Koch is going to be at the party.
Oh yeah, you remember that, Barn? I worked his detail.
Isn't that a reference? That's a reference to a previous episode as well.
It is.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting the things that they do have as returning things, because I remember hearing that and I was like, that was a thing that happened, I think, was that 6th or 7th season? I don't think it was
6th season.
Yeah. I was about to say, that wasn't even this season.
Yeah. Yeah, it was whatever way he was being sworn in. Yeah.
It's interesting the things that this show carries through, or the writers decide to carry.
Yeah, no mention of Harris's movie or anything around that this time, which we had 2 episodes talking about the movie that he made, but maybe later on in the season he'll get an award or have it entered into some obscure film festival or something.
Well, and I liked the Miriam Bird-Nethery character going, I liked your book, but nobody else checked it out.
Right. No one's checked it out. Oh, that was such a burn, man.
And the person that Harris is, that cuts him more than anything else you could say, other than maybe insulting the way he dresses.
Yeah, which that whole thing of him getting dry clothes and it's Barney's clothes, I called it as soon as he walked in. It was, oh, it's not the clothes, Barn. It's the guy who wears them. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I make this look good, as they would say.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Harris does. Like, Harris makes that outfit look good. And it's not that Barney doesn't look good, but Harris is the dapper one of the precinct, for sure.
Oh, yeah. Well, we're going to have a real light time of it when we come back next month, Chris, because we're talking about 3 episodes, but one of them is a 2-parter. So here we go with another 2-parter for this season. We're going to be talking about Rachel, and then Contempt Part 1 and Contempt Part 2. So I imagine somebody's in contempt of court.
Who might that be? You'll find out on the next episode of The Life and Times of Captain Barney Miller.
Until then, Chris, where can people find you?
You can find me and all the stuff that I work on over at Weirding Way Media, which is a media group that you and I started almost 2 years ago now, which is fucking nuts in and of itself.
Wow.
You can find this show, the aforementioned Kolchak show, a show that you and I do called Midnight Viewing with our dear friend Father Malone, where we talk about horror anthology TV shows. There's plenty of stuff. There's more things coming, even shockingly, new things that we haven't even mentioned that may just one day we'll start plugging them the day before we weren't. So yeah, everything and more can be found at weirdingwaymedia.com. What about you, Mike?
Same thing, Chris. weirdingwaymedia.com is where you can find everything that we do, with the exception of one show that you and I and Richard Haddam, who was our guest last month, that we do together, which is called Rankin' on Bond. It is a Patreon exclusive for people to come in and take us up on the $10 and up level, either your Patreon or mine. Every month there's a new episode of us talking about the James Bond films. People are probably familiar with those. They've been around for a long time. 50 years, I think. Right?
Longer than I've been alive, and I think longer than you've been alive as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. So it must be more like 60 years because, they came out well before I started breathing on this earth.
Yeah. So, hey, we're always talking about something that may or may not be imminently known, but we're always talking about things that should be.
Exactly.
And James Bond, which everybody knows, I would assume, like the most mainstream thing we've talked about together.
I think you're right. Yeah. It's like, you might come over to either the Culture Cast and the projection booth and hear us talk about very obscure movies sometimes, but it doesn't get any more mainstream than talking about James Bond.
And Barney Miller, for that matter. I mean, it did run for 8 seasons.
Hello, filthy movie lovers. My name is Gentry Austin.
And I'm Casey Scott.
And we're the hosts of the Sin Syndicate, film podcast for something weirdos, anti-criterion bros, and Joseph Sarno aficionados. Join us semi-weekly as we peer into the adults-only theaters and sticky-floored cinemas of the golden age of sexploitation, when the morals were loose, the laws were murky, and the intercourse was all simulated. Find us now on the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Hello and welcome to Tumbleweeds and TV Cowboys. My name is Hunter. In this podcast, I'll be joined by a different guest each week to discuss a classic Western movie or TV show. I've been a fan of classic Westerns for as long as I can remember, and in recent years, they've become very nostalgic for me. I love the aesthetic, the tropes, and I love seeing different filmmakers' takes on them. At their best, they're incredibly entertaining, rewatchable, and some of my all-time favorite movies are Westerns. We'll mostly focus on Western movies made in Hollywood, but we'll also be covering spaghetti Westerns, and one thing I'm very excited to get into are Western TV shows. I've got some amazing guests coming on the show, film professors, historians, and podcasters. And Tumbleweeds and TV Cowboys is part of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network, and many guests on the show will be from other shows on the network. Thanks for listening.
Hello, this is Aaron West. I am the author of the A24 New Wave. In this book, I look at A24's output and I make the argument that we are in a new wave movement right now. A24 plays a major role. This book has a supplemental podcast where each episode is a brief conversation about an A24 related topic, whether an actor, director, or even a genre. As I continue research for the book and conduct interviews, I expect to record podcast episodes with people involved with the company. You can find the podcast at cinejourneys.com or wherever you find podcasts, and we are proud to be members of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.